Welcome to another episode of Not Another Football Podcast with myself, Simon Donnelly, and the man to my right,
Jackie McNamara.
And we're delighted to say our next guest is none other than comedian and actor Darren Connell. How are you doing, mate?
Thank you very much, lads.
Delighted that you can be here.
How does it feel being in a room full of greatness? You stoked the 10 and I'd done a panto in Dundee.
What was your panto?
Oh, I can't even remember. It was so long ago. I think it was Snow White.
Is that right?
Aye.
You've been in a few of them?
I've been in about 3 or 4. It was all Dundee pantos at the Garden.
Right.
And it was just a good laugh.
Aye. I think where were we in Dundee recently? What was the name of the place we did that?
Theatre. I can't remember what it was called. Right in the centre, aye.
We're actors now as well, you know.
Aye.
Done a wee bit of, you know, the singing I'm No a Billy, He's a Tim thing?
Yes.
I don't know how we've managed to get into it, but we have. So we were at Dundee recently, but no.
Panto, we've done a few pantos in Dundee, you know.
Have you?
Every second Saturday.
Oh, right. So, comedy, how did you get into that? Obviously, I was thinking about it earlier, it's probably one of the most, in my opinion, difficult performing arts.
Yeah.
You're out there and you're put on that stage and you have to make folk laugh. Has that always been within you?
I've been doing it. Somebody asked us the other day. I done my first ever gig in 2006 when Celtic were playing Benfica.
Right.
And Kenny Miller scored 2 goals. So that's how long ago that was.
Wow.
I was 18. And
Whereabouts?
at the Stand Comedy Club. And I've always been, I started off as a hobby and I was doing it for a hobby for years. And I never had a career or a proper job, and I noticed one day when I started to get paid, I was getting more paid comedy gigs than being in a job.
Right.
And I just thought, I need to go for it.
At 18? So
Well, I done my first ever gig when I was 18,
right.
and it was that bad. I never done it again until I was 24.
Right.
Aye, it was terrible.
So where do you find that within yourself though? Because I mean, as I say, I think it's a huge pressure having to go up there, and obviously if you flop or if you've got hecklers, how do you deal with that?
Well, I enjoy getting heckled now. I do a lot of crowd work shows. That's kind of why I think I'm doing well right now. A lot of crowd work shows on TikTok.
Right.
And I really enjoy getting heckled. I think it's good fun. Back in the day, I took it really badly, and I used to be like, "What do you mean by that? Like, going to shut up, mate?" But now I take it well.
Do you have lines like force it, or is it all off the cuff? Are you quick thinking that way?
I mean,
you have to be.
I don't know if I'm quick thinking, but nothing surprises me. I've never been heckled and I've been shocked by it. It's the kind of same stuff. It's always like Specky or something. I can deal with that. I'm alright with that.
And what have you got? Have you got stuff lined up just now? I've seen you've got something coming up in June. Obviously you invited me to the comedy club, which I couldn't get to, which I was gutted. Hopefully we can do that in the future, but have you got stuff lined up?
Yous are always welcome. I do crowd work shows at Blackfriars. I was doing one on the 31st of May and we've been lucky to sell that out. And the next one is the 14th of June and I think there's 10 tickets left.
Right, brilliant.
And then we're going to see what else is happening.
Do you tour? Have you toured at different times? Have you?
Yeah, I've done a couple of tours and stuff, but it's never been quite... I've been quite unlucky. I mean, maybe yous have experienced the same. It's always dodgy promoters or people promising you stuff and it just always falls through and stuff. Recently I cancelled a tour, but it was nothing sinister. It was just a music production trying to do comedy and we just couldn't make it work. I was asking for wee venues in Harris and Wick and they were like booking me 800 seaters and it just wasn't happening. So I'm just going to continue to do the crowd work, my podcasts, and then maybe do a tour next year.
Do you prefer the smaller venues then, the more intimate kind of, is that your... just when you're saying there about...
I like Blackfriars is 150, the Stand's 200, they're good. I've done big venues before and bigger crowds, but the wee ones are alright.
In terms of getting gigs, have you got an agent yourself or you just do it all yourself?
Recently I've just been doing it myself. I mean, you could say I'm a veteran. That feels weird. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Well, you're 60 on Wikipedia.
I know.
I can't believe that. You're looking well for 60.
Do you know how Peter Schmeichel's been getting slagged for his weight? And I'm like, man, that's my target weight. Like trying to slag a guy, like that is my end goal. Is like Peter Schmeichel's weight. So if I'm like that when I'm, in fact, I think I'm older than him. Wait, did you say?
Casper.
Oh, Casper. All right, I saw it.
You're the same age as Peter.
Casper on Wikipedia.
It's because you said 60, I know. I've had an agent and stuff, but same again, they weren't really doing what I wanted. So I don't have an agent right now. I've got somebody helping me with my social media and podcasts, and I'm just honestly, I'm just winging it. But I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm not really complaining. I've had a lot of work since I ditched my agent, actually. I've had more work coming in,
And
which is
like
nice.
So Blackfriars is venues. What is your kind of favourite of that kind of ilk? Have you got a relationship with Blackfriars? Because it was Blackfriars I was going to come and see you.
Blackfriars is really good. Chris at Blackfriars is very fair on the comedians.
Yeah.
He doesn't take a cut of the door. So, I mean, most of us are all working class comedians, so like no taking a cut of the door is literally keeping some of us like afloat.
Go on.
They keep the bar, we keep the door, which is really fair.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the deals throughout the years just been shocking. So I like Blackfriars for that reason, because they go in favour of the comedian, but also Chris just loves comedy. I work with, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you work with people that just hate football and you're like, why are you even doing this? I've worked with so many people that hate comedy, they hate comedians, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Chris actually loves comedy. And when you go to Blackfriars, you can feel
You
it.
were there recently, weren't you?
With Tam Cowan. Done a charity night with Tam Cowan down there.
Aye. He
Q&A
hates
was
comedy as well, doesn't he?
He was really good, Tam. He was really good. And you were meant to do it, and you pulled it. Darren Jackson took your place.
Yeah. Aye, so we obviously lean towards a wee bit of football in the podcast as well. Our guests, people out there will be saying we're slightly biased, but they've been leaning towards the green and white. We had Jonathan Watson, who was trying to even up the equilibrium, but you're a Celtic man.
Yes, I'm a Celtic fan. I'm actually quite nervous, actually.
Are you?
Aye.
What's your first, so you're a wee bit younger than us, what's your first memories then? Did you go to the games back as a kid? I know you're from Springburn, so it's just up the road.
I didn't have a season ticket, but I went to games with my brother, and I actually remember I can't remember what game it was, but my brother took me to a game, and I remember you scoring a penalty at Parkhead once, but I have no
recollection of the opponent.
Aye. And when I was because I'll just be honest, Celtic weren't really that good when I was a kid, so watching football with my family when they're all devastated watching it, as a kid I just didn't enjoy it. So I kind of went to movies, and I loved wrestling and stuff.
Right.
And then when the 10 got stopped and Larson came in, that's when I was kind of going back to Celtic. Aye. But I remember my dad was a coach, he'd done Celtic Boys Club. And I remember going to the stadium when the stadium was getting like built.
Aye.
And
95, 96.
Aye.
Just when I joined,
It was good.
This episode is sponsored by Rosie McGuire's in Cabo Roig. We're going to be there at Celtic Supporters Festival from June the 4th to the 7th. Myself, Jackie, who else?
Peter Grant, Joe Miller, Alan Thompson and Tommy Johnson. And the link is in the description. And back to the episode, Sid.
Yeah.
And I always remember, I think it was Peter Grant. Peter Grant came and spoke to the boys, and I always remember him being like really nice, and that just always stuck with me. I was like, that guy was like really brand new to like give his time for all these kids.
He's a good guy, Grant, isn't he?
He's like
funny as well, but
he's probably him and McStay were the two when I first kind of broke into that first team that kind of looked at for the young boys. They'd obviously come through that all before themselves, so they kind of knew what it was all about.
Yeah.
But it's just as you say, they're the two that stick in my head, making you feel welcome.
Yeah.
You know, coming into the first team environment. So obviously that time, and then there's been better periods in recent years as well, moving through the years. What's your favourite games? Have you got games that stick out for you, or players?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I
Putting
think
you on the spot.
No, I'd say Celtic fans have been spoiled recently. I think it is like kind of playing FIFA on cheat code at times, because you can't just win every single game. I like players. I know people would go with like Larson and Jota and stuff, but I like Ralston. I like that type of player.
Yeah.
That's just he's no a 10 out of 10, but he's never bad either. He just always puts in a shift. Loves Celtic.
Local lads.
And that's my type of player.
Yeah.
I really liked Matt O'Reilly as well.
Yeah.
I thought he was unbelievable. And it was quite a shame as well, because when you see these guys just turn good, you're like,
they're gone. They're off.
he's getting punted. Obviously Tierney.
Tierney, coming back.
Love Tierney.
He's been good this year.
Games, oh man, that is tough. The cup final when Tam scored the winning goal.
Aberdeen.
I was at that game. Actually busted
First
green.
of the trebles, was it? The quadruple treble? I can't remember.
Quadruple,
Aye. That
It was
was
an amazing finish to the game, wasn't it?
unbelievable. I remember going about an hour early, and I was just like, I'm going to take this in, get a coffee, and when he scored, I actually busted green. I was like, this is unbelievable, the best day of my life. But I remember I've had good moments like watching Celtic when Celtic have been really bad. I remember taking my mum to Parkhead when we played, was it PSG? Did Celtic get pumped like 6-0 or something?
3-0. 3-0 it was, but it was a doing. It felt like 6. I played in the game.
No, you talking about recently?
Oh, right, sorry. I thought
Was
you were talking
it, was it Brendan or
Oh, the Neymar.
I think it was Brendan.
was it Brendan?
I think it was 6-0. So I've never been to a game with my man. I was like, we'll make this a special night. I'll take you for a meal and stuff. And then see when it got to 4-0, my man was like, you want to just go? I was like, alright, yeah. As soon as the 5th goal went in, I was like, I'll take you up the road.
They were tough. I was at that game as well, actually.
Aye.
They were tough.
It was still nice though.
Aye.
It was good to be there with my mamas. We still enjoyed it, and we've seen the funny madness of just getting leathered. Absolutely done
Different
in.
level, wasn't it?
Off.
Level.
Aye.
Was Messi there at that time? Was that before Messi? Neymar was there, wasn't he?
Neymar was there.
They were ridiculous.
Nah, they were.
But the one that I thought you were talking about there, we played them in 95, 96, and they battered us as well. We actually got a 1-0. I think it was just after you signed against the Union with us, but you couldn't play.
I just signed the week before. I wasn't allowed to play in the game.
And we get beat 1-0 there. Big Van Hooijdonk says he had a chance and he lost the ball in the floodlights, and we kind of kidded ourselves, or we were lulled into a false sense of we've got a chance here.
Aye.
They battered us at Celtic Park. They went on and won it. Djorkaeff, boy local, got 2.
Local. Yep.
And they went on to win it that year. But
Nah, they were a good side.
they weren't bad. So, music-wise as well, obviously you're in that performing arts world.
Yes.
Yeah, music man.
Yes, you're more comedy, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then more music, aren't you?
Aye.
You love your gigs, don't you?
I love comedy.
Yeah.
That's his music.
Aye.
He actually introduced me to a lot of music over the years. The DMAs, went to see that recently, but mine has always been about comedy.
Yeah.
I love going in a nice happy place and laughing.
You've attempted. You've wrote
Yeah.
a bit.
Aye.
Wrote a bit.
Yes.
I did.
I've heard.
Aye.
It was good fun, wasn't it?
It was at the time. Well,
I mean, you
had
couldn't,
me as-
in today's society, with different afflictions and
Yeah.
different things going on, but I thought I'm just going to do it, because everybody says I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I was like,
Yeah.
and with the big Franco Hooley, it was in Still Game, he
Yes.
was in quite a few in River City. I'd met him by chance, as a family friend, and we'd sat down and done quite a few together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a dressing room is a funny place to be. All the different characters, different stories, but so we used to write all the wee different bits down. It's more like a fly in the wall,
Yeah.
and put all the different characters into maybe 3 or 4 guys, and we filmed a pilot at Falkirk Stadium.
Yeah.
Just before I started managing, because when the winter.
Before you started, I was about to say you were in management.
No, because see when it was a really bad winter. Before I started before that, and then we filmed it when I started managing at Thistle. And the material since then, the characters you're dealing with as a manager, as a player, you guys in your dressing room, but it was such a therapeutic thing to do. Obviously I've done autobiography as well, but these stories that happen in the changing room, but they use different characters and what they say. But today, a guy with a speech impediment, it's difficult to put these things out now because you're upsetting the woke generation with can't you say certain things, you can't call anybody anything. But the managers that we dealt with when we were younger wouldn't get away with stuff today in society. It's a bit like comedy. A lot of things you can't say. I think Ricky Gervais is one of the best at putting things out there without saying it himself. And extras and as well all the different comedies that I've watched, his stand up. It's the one Life's Too Short with Warwick Davis. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's so funny, but it's so wrong as well.
Yeah.
He's an agent for dwarfs, which kind of dwarfs. Yeah. The whole. Yeah. But I just think that I think it's good to laugh and it's good to. Obviously, it's a lot of times it's somebody else's expense, but I think it's hard not to.
Yeah, but I think there's an art form to it, isn't there? Because if you don't Warwick, if you're part of the joke with Warwick, then it's funny. Yeah. But if you're making Warwick the punchline, then it's offensive. If you make yourself the joke, you can say anything. You can get away with anything. Aye. I've said when I was younger and silly, I used to say some really stupid things on stage, but then you flip it and I make myself the joke, and I'm like, if you make yourself the joke, you can literally say anything. Yeah.
Have you wrote stuff yourself? Obviously you do your own material for that, but have you likes of plays and things like that, or a comedy series? Have you ever thought about?
I've not done. I've done sketches recently. The most recent thing I did was a Channel 4 short called Rest Easy, Jerry Boy, and it was a 2-day shoot, and it was based on my family, and it was a true story. Obviously, with major comedy injected into it. Yeah. But it was based on my Uncle Jerry, who was my uncle in real life. Right. And I played my mum, my dad, myself. And it was my uncle that passed away, and he had a wake in the living room. Right. And it was just me playing all the characters. So that's the most recent thing I did. And it was, I would say, the proudest thing I've done. Aye. And it was so much pressure and just couldn't believe some of the cameras, and I was just like, what's that guy called? And they were just like, he's the assistant grip, and I was like, what? I don't even know what that is, but we managed to make it, and I'm really happy with how it got made. It never get made, there was nothing that came out of it. Yeah. I get told that nothing would come out of it. It was a one-off kind of filming thing, and I was really proud. But in terms of writing other things, I've always loved horror movies. I love vigilante movies as well, and I've always kind of thought I'd maybe like to
do something like that. You could write something like that.
Right, yeah. I don't know if I'd be in it. I'm nearly 60 now, so
you're getting on.
But I'd definitely like to maybe write a horror or something down the line. But I love comedy, and I love all.
You find this social media now, it's a lot easier for you guys to stick stuff out, because there's a lot of guys, Rab Florence, different boys like that, just continuously putting content out. Is that easier? Has that made your job easier? With all that stuff, Instagram and that, I follow you on Instagram. And
yeah, absolutely. So
more accessible.
I was kind of late to the game with TikTok, and I don't know why. I think I was probably lazy and just no good with technology. Yeah. And I found myself being like, how come I'm not getting these chances, and how come everybody else is doing this and I'm not getting anything? Yeah. It's because I wasn't doing...
You weren't putting it out there?
I wasn't doing it. I was sitting back expecting to get work while not actually doing anything. Mm-hmm. And I just went down the road of what everybody else has done. Yeah. Like Gary Faulds and Gary Miko, Mark Jennings, and just started putting
Stuff
crowd
like that.
work clips. I mean, some of the crowd work clips, I mean, one of them got 3 million views, and I'm like, that is just a off-the-cuff comment I made to somebody.
Yeah.
And it is, like, life-changing. Now, me doing my own thing and doing my own podcasts and all that has took away the desperation of being like, how come the BBC are not doing this and asking me this? I've not been... I used to chap their door and be like, how come that door never gets opened?
Yeah.
And now I don't need to chap the door anymore. I've got my...
Your phone and
Everything's there.
Yeah. I remember actually watching a bit of you in lockdown. Were you out in did you go out and film? Did some guy confront you in the street? Can you remember that?
Oh, I can't remember.
In lockdown. You must have been out, obviously we're all locked up for certain periods of the day, and you were out and I think somebody confronted you in Springburn or something from your phone. You know, no recollection.
Cannot remember that, man. That's a daily thing in life for me, so probably my dad.
So get back to music then. What's your bands, artists who you into?
I used to love, like, see, before I done comedy, I used to love gigs all the time, and me and my pals used to just randomly go into Ticket Scotland under the bridge in the town and just be like, let's go wherever, let's pick. I've got a shoebox full of my tickets,
right.
And I was looking at some of my tickets. I mean, it's literally like Bob Dylan, who was terrible, by the way, live. He was
terrible live.
Where was that?
SCC,
right,
years ago. Bob Dylan.
Big Bob Dylan, aren't you?
Just with my dad, aye.
I mean, he's amazing,
Yeah.
but just live, it was rough.
His voice is not great.
Aye, it was
But
rough.
his music's brilliant.
I've seen Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even seen like 50 Cent. Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys were amazing at the SCC before one of the band members passed away. It was amazing. I love James. I've got a soft spot for James.
Yeah.
I've seen James about 13 times or something.
He played last week. I seen him walking about. Did you see him walking about the Hydro?
Aye.
The songs.
Aye, I love James.
That's class.
I really like their old stuff. And recently, what have I been... I've got a soft spot for Colin Hay. I've took some tunes down because you gave me homework, but Colin Hay, Van Morrison.
Right.
I used to hate Van Morrison when I was younger. My dad used to love him, and I was just like, that's terrible. And then when you get older, you're like, that's actually really good.
They're 60.
That's really good. Aye. But I could find myself sitting listening to... I've got a strange playlist. I could literally... I love movie soundtracks, so I could listen to Hans Zimmer or Daft Punk.
Yeah.
I could listen to... I went to an orchestra one night myself. I've only recently started to enjoy Oasis as well.
Aye.
I wasn't a fan of Oasis back in the day. I don't know why.
Got on the vibe last year.
Aye, when they came back and I was watching the clips, I was like, that's good. Aye, but I tried to do... I went to some good gigs when I was younger. I went to see the Libertines at the Barrowlands,
right.
And Pete Doherty never turned up.
You never turned up.
No show.
Aye.
So
But the show went on.
the show went on, aye.
Amazing.
Aye, so I've had some good gigs. Not as much recently because I do comedy, but it's good to kind of go back.
Aye.
You're a mad Oasis fan, aren't you?
I was Oasis back in, when I was back playing, really, with Celtic. I think I spoke about it in a podcast before, that I had a friend that was at the record label. He was a mad Celtic fan, so we kind of swapped tickets. So I was fortunate enough to go everywhere. I went to, was at Loch Lomond both days, which was just amazing. They're probably the best that I've been at. But I was going down, I went to Earls Court. We played Motherwell through at Fir Park. I scored that day, and I got a flight down that night to go to Earls Court, so I was going everywhere with Oasis. And then obviously everything that happened with them in, I think, 2009, so last year was just, it was amazing. It was amazing just to go through. I went through to Murrayfield and it was just one big love-in. There was no, because sometimes at these concerts in the past, the folk that there could be a bit of bother, there was nothing. It was really good. And then I was fortunate enough, went over to Dublin on the Saturday, so the twice was
amazing.
Oh, brilliant.
Some of the
Really
clips
good.
looked really good.
And they were so polished.
Aye, they look great as well.
I think Liam was on his best behaviour, you know, so I think he'd been told, right, get through this, be professional. which I don't think they were too much back in the day, but I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
They were pretty special.
Aye, cool. Did you ever have any, see if you ever scored a goal, did you ever have any like
Songs?
rituals?
It's just that one 97, 98, remember? It was Del Boy. When I scored at Tynecastle, you on the bench.
Aye.
I've run away like that. It was when Del Boy gets all the millions.
He had a couple.
I loved Fools and Horses. I love all comedies, Fools and Horses, but when Del they win the money, or they get the watch, don't they? The clock, he gets sort of 6 million or something, and he goes back into the Nag's Head, and he's like that to them all. So I was like, I'm going to use that one, and I scored at Tynecastle, and him and Jackal were on the bench, so I was like that to them. At the event. But I think when I scored, it was just a surprise anyway. You know what I mean? Because I didn't score very often. I got
Scored a few
piss ripped out as with Chris Sutton. I celebrated away at Stranraer in the Scottish Cup, and he fucking hammered me after the game. He's like, "Oh, well done, fucking get you celebrating scoring against Stranraer." I was like, "Struck it wrong with that." I actually scored in the semi against Dundee United, and I scored in the final against Hibs that season. You know, and everyone was like surprised because it doesn't happen.
Aye.
But he took the piss at me for celebrating against Stranraer.
Still like him.
Again, that's the kind of character he was in the changing room. You know, anybody else, everybody would just get right on you, and took away my moment. Big prick.
You scored in the cup final.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any folk have done that.
You were a great player, man. I think that's why you followed me, because I think I tweeted, I was absolutely couldn't get my head around the fact that you stopped the 10, but that seems like I couldn't believe like Larson was in that team.
Aye.
And it just seems like that seems like old Celtic to me, and how when the 10 gets stopped, and just how the stadium changed and stuff, it just seemed so close together. I just couldn't get my head around
it. It was a weird period. Somebody posted a great thing about social media. They put up on this day, but it's getting longer and longer now. It's like on this day 30 years ago, and they're like, fucking hell, is it 30 years? But it was my first goal for the club against Raith Rovers, so I've kind of put it out there. And somebody had said on one of the comments that I'd almost played at Celtic in 3 different eras, because when I'd come in, it was at that team you're talking about, they hadn't won for 6 years, hadn't won anything since 89, till we won the cup in 95. Then there was the next period, obviously, with Henrik, when we won the league, and then when I left in 99, I'd played with Lubo. So I'd played with certain players over a period of time. I'd almost been there at like 3 different eras. I thought it was quite a good way they'd put it.
Yeah.
But that is kind of old Celtic, and then people say that was the little platform to build on the success. Obviously, Douglas and Barnes wasn't a great success, but then Martin came in the following year and they took off. That was a hell of a team.
Aye. Martin brought in like top players, but characters. You know what I mean? Suttons
Strong
and
mentality.
Hartsons, Thompsons, you know, Lennons. These guys it just took the club again at another level.
Yeah.
Mentality more than anything. And Martin was. So I was quite fortunate, as Simon said, they won the cup in 95 just before I joined. And then, but Tommy Burns started the whole thing off. You know, the stadium was half finished when I joined, and then you were watching the whole stadium getting finished. Yeah. You're kind of growing with the club at that point. In that 10 years, and then the change on and off the park. And you look at Celtic Park today, you know, even the Celtic way up to it, all the stuff there that's happened to it, the stadium, it's just night and day, the whole place, and the success as well over the last, you know, number of years really.
Yeah.
You know, it's not brilliant at the moment, you know, the divide between the fans and the board, and where we all think the club should be on the pitch, but I think this year's been a wee bit frustrating. But it's been difficult.
It's been a mental season.
A bit like the COVID year.
A wee bit. Hopefully it doesn't finish that way, or similar way. What brings me on to this year, which we're asking everybody on this podcast, nobody's got a clue how it's going to finish. What's your thoughts? What's your
I mean, my
head and your heart tell me?
my heart wants to go Celtic at all times, and I'm struggling to see it. I know Celtic are. See, the thing is, Martin O'Neill is a genius. I think he could get a result out of any team.
Yeah.
But I just think we're really struggling, and we seem to be running on fumes. And
Aye.
I feel like there's a lot of things that just annoy me. Like, I love Callum McGregor, but I feel like he's been played too much, and he needs.
A bit carrying a wee injury or something.
Aye, and he just needs some type of rest.
Yeah.
Like, we need another
It's
player
difficult
there.
with that, with the importance of the games left as
Yeah.
well. Your captain, I get what you're saying there about running on fumes. I covered the game at the weekend, and that's a perfect. Celtic off to a really good start. You know, a goal in the first 10-15 minutes. You're thinking, you know, get the energy, but there was nothing coming, and it was a real hard watch.
I think that's been the case throughout the
Most
season.
of it.
Even with Wilfred came in, you know, the first half they blow them out the water, and
Couldn't sustain
they
it.
don't get a second, a third, or a fourth goal, and suddenly, you know, the Rangers game, Dundee United, there's a pattern there. They can't sustain it, you know. And if you go back to Brendan's team or Ange's team before that, they would go hell for leather for 60 and make 4 or 5 subs, 60 minutes.
But it'd probably
Which
have
is
the
half
game-
your team.
You'd probably have the game
You know, we
finished
played-
then as well with the goals in this
Aye,
game.
and you see them pulling up 60 minutes, you know he's going to make the changes, you know.
Yeah.
But I just think today, I think it's hard to make 5 changes to improve them. When he's making changes, there's not been a lot of difference in his team, you know what I mean? I think that's been enough cards to play. Obviously they're missing a number of players. I think Carter Vickers has been one of the biggest losses for me.
Yeah.
Goalkeeping's been obviously Schmeichel, his injury, which I think has been going on longer than what.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see that when he was diving for things. He's not to protect his shoulder. And right through the spine of the team, the striking department, I think that's been the main issue.
Aye, lack of goals, I think. I mean, you look at Rangers get 6 at the weekend. Although first half, you wouldn't have said Rangers would have got 1 goal. Scored towards the stroke of half time. Hearts are finding goals. Celtic have struggled this year. And I'd said that at the weekend. Normally, in years gone by, in recent times, you'd have that front 3 all in double figures, and then you'd have the next 3 to come on. They'd be touching that as well. There'd be goals for everywhere. And they're relying on Negrin, aren't they? They're relying on him to
As a second
come
striker,
up
as
for
a 10,
a goal. So it's,
breaking forward for the midfield.
having said that, it's still there for them. It's still there to go and grab it.
Aye, you can never rule anything out in football. It's a strange game. I'm just going to be honest. I just don't want Rangers to win it. I'm not going to lie. I'm just telling you the truth.
think you
know how
speak
you
for
get
most
like fans that
Rangers
lie. I
Celtic
don't
fans,
watch
aye.
your football and all that. I watch Rangers. As soon as they start getting pumped, as soon as they start winning, I turn it off.
Yeah.
And they went physical in January. You know, they're a big physical side now.
Yeah.
You know, he has them organised, and they're not brilliant on the eye at times, but
Yeah.
they get the wins. You know, the first half, Falkirk were excellent. Then when we change in the game,
It's incredible how the game changed.
set pieces, a lot of height and a lot of power.
Yeah.
Don't try to dominate the ball, but it's going to be interesting end to the season.
Nervy, I would say.
Aye.
Nervy. I mean, I go back to the year that the only time I won the league was we didn't know where it was going until 15 minutes from the end of the season when Bratback got the second goal. I wouldn't be surprised if it finishes that way this year. And I'm no envious of the boys because it was nerve-wracking leading up to it. We'd done filming the week before, and then St Johnstone on that last day, and it's the nerves creep in, and the fans as well. It's going to be
A bit different now. Rangers were going for 10 in a row then.
yeah, there
It
was
was a bit different pressure, but
You've still got to go and win the league.
you've still got to go and do this.
win
The
the league.
pressure's always there for them, which they have to handle, and that's the biggest thing I've been.
What about Scotland? Do you follow the international team? Are you excited about the World Cup? Are you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the same again. I mean, I'm 38, so the majority of my life, the only memory I have of Scotland is Tom Boyd with the own goal.
Is that right?
And
So what
then
age would you have been then?
I must have been like 5 or 6 or something.
Wow.
And I just remember watching it and thinking, how unlucky is that? And everybody was so sad as well.
We actually did all right in that game,
Aye.
considering who we were up against.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Tom Boyd as well. I love Tom Boyd.
Yeah.
But I have always been a Scotland fan. Always supported them. And I really hope we do well. I think Scotland have got a great team. It's very surreal.
Aye, they've got players there that, you know, over the piece, that I think they've underplayed. The two last Euros, I think they've underperformed. I think hopefully they feel it themselves that you know, they're better than what they've shown in the two finals that they've been at. So hopefully we can get a performance or two in America in the summer. It'd be brilliant to get out the group. I think we can do it. We need a win in the first game.
Really, really exciting into it. I mean, some of the players is just unbelievable. Scott McTominay, Andy Robertson is just...
McGinn's the one. John's the one that I think can win matches. Your boy as well, if he's fit. That brings a different dynamic to it. If he can get himself ready to go.
He'll be ready for that. Definitely.
So what we do at the end here, it's a recommendation for our next guest. I'm not allowed to tell you who it is, but it's a big player for Celtic over the years. But the last one was Johnny Watson, and he's recommended the film Something Wild. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I wasn't. I need to
It's an 80s film.
I need to look that one up. Ray Liotta was in it. I can't remember who else he said.
I like him.
So Something Wild's your recommendation, and you'll certainly know the band Gimme Shelter and 40 Licks for the Rolling Stones was what was recommended. So can you recommend for our next guest a film, a song, and either a band or an album?
Okay, I'll go with the film first. I was going to be arty farty and say Angels with Dirty Faces with James Cagney, but I tried to find it online last night and there's nowhere you can get it.
Right.
So that's my wee arty farty answer. I'll go with a main film though. I'll go with Heat, Al Pacino and De Niro.
Yeah. They're doing a second one of that, eh?
Yes, they are.
DiCaprio in it?
Supposedly.
Aye.
And Christian Bale, but I
Right.
don't know if it's...
The first one was excellent.
Unbelievable, and only kind of watched it recently. I mean recently, like 10 years ago, and it just, everything about it is perfect. The cinematography, all the actors and actresses are in it are on top of their game. Like absolute perfection for the supporting cast to the main kind of actors, and the soundtrack is just unbelievable. The music attached to that film is brilliant. Moby does the soundtrack, and it's just, that's the perfect film.
Yep, good choice.
10 out of 10 for that one.
A song and a band or album?
A song would be, let me just check my notes.
Done his homework. It's no easy.
Do you know, I'm going to go with nostalgia here. I had a couple, but I'll go with the first one. Elton John, Sacrifice.
Right.
Now, I'm not a massive Elton John fan, but that song, just anytime that song comes on, it always reminds me of my childhood and stuff.
Yeah.
It's always a great
tune,
great tune. And what was that, album?
Album or band?
Okay, I'm going to go with Daft Punk, Tron Legacy.
Right.
So Tron's the movie, which I wasn't a fan of, but the album is unbelievable. It makes me quite creative, I think. See, if I've got writer's block or something, I stick it on, or if I can't sleep, I listen to it at night.
Right.
But it's a great...
So that stimulates the juices for writing, does it?
Yeah. And it's very like, have you seen the old Tron, like kind of computer game themed and stuff? It is like a really cool album, and it's not really typically Daft Punk. It's quite strange, so that's my recommendation.
Cool. We'll pass them on to our next guest. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and we'll hopefully see you at Blackfriars in June, is it?
14th of June, you can get on the guest list if you want. Because you're Tim's. Everybody else is 40 quid.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers.